Hello, viewers, and welcome again to another episode. This is going to be the final episode in the month of February. And this month, we've been having interesting discussions around how you can become a purpose driven leader. In the first episode, we talked about putting purpose over position and even leadership titles, prioritizing purpose. The second episode, we talked about character, how it's very important for you as a leader and in your journey of leadership. Thirdly, we talked about the battle of the mind, how each and every leader, probably at one point or another, you faced doubt, fear, even in your journey of leadership. And in this final episode, you're going to be talking about how now do you move from really understanding your leadership and your purpose and creating long-lasting community impact. In simple terms, transforming your purpose into community impact and how you can impact people around you with what you're called to do. And I want to start off with a statement which is, quite interesting, and probably you will agree with me that, many leaders know their purpose, or some of the leaders know their purpose, but they really struggle to translate it into measurable impact in the communities. If you interacted with me long enough, you probably know that I'm quite passionate about bringing impact in the African continent. And depending on which continent you're watching this episode from, I believe one of the greatest things, even as a leader and someone really pursuing transformation and something bigger than you, it's a really yearning and a heartfelt desire to really impact communities more and more. And one of the most interesting things even on this journey probably is to mention something that I've been talking a lot about. Yes, you're a leader. You've already identified that this is what I've been called to do. You've placed purpose before position. You've worked on your character. You've learned the mastery of winning the battle of the minds, and how now do you move from that step to really creating tangible impact in the community that people can be able to be felt. So just a recap. I mentioned in the last episode that tied into our purpose is the aspect of people, or I'll put it this way, that our purpose is deeply connected to really how we interact and impact people. Purpose in simple terms, it's not really connected to us and for us alone. There's a group of people or a community, a society, a continent, a country that you're called to impact. And I'm sure you've probably had that understanding. You've had that proper foundation of what you've been called to do. And if you're a leader, you've understood probably your niche. You've understood the people you've called to lead or just influence in the right way. And I think even as we proceed, I think it will be quite prudent to remind us of what is leadership. Leadership is basically influencing people to make the right decisions and follow a particular way that brings good results in the very end. That's a simple definition of leadership. So how do I start this journey? So one of the critical things, of course, is to interact with people, understand that this leadership aspect, people have gone through this journey and have really understood how to make impact in the community. You have that one role model that you really follow quite a lot. Understand their journeys. How did they start? Of course, they had that burden of doing something, and they made practical steps towards attaining that and really making impact. So one of the critical things that I would want to urge you, if you really want to move from purpose to really making impact in the communities, first and foremost, interacting with people who have gone through that journey. One of the easiest way to do this is to, of course, nowadays with internet, there's a lot of information outside there. There's a lot you can learn about particular leaders. In my first episode of this month, I talked about Nelson Mandela. And I remember a few years ago, 5 years ago, a friend of mine called Cedric gifted me a book by Nelson Mandela. It's a very humongous book, the size of a dictionary. That it's the long journey of freedom, if I've gotten the title correctly, and it talks about the journey of Mandela from his childhood to him becoming a lawyer, starting to advocate for the rights of the South African people, and speaking against apartheid and all that. That's a simple way. Identify that one person that probably your values align in terms of your leadership style and your leadership values, and understand really how they made that journey. But also, secondly, another way is to just simply interact with mentors. One of the deepest things I feel is that we cannot do this life alone. You have to work with people who can take your hand and, in simple terms, walk you through the journey of understanding how to identify an impact issue in the community, using your purpose to really address it. And once you work with these people who might be your mentors or even sometimes your peers who've gone ahead, you're able to understand how do I go through that journey. Another simple way, of course, is to constantly read about different things, different people, understand community dynamics. I think one of the things recently I had a session just with a number of entrepreneurs with a brand called Afriweza that I do run. And, I asked them, how many of you really would want to scale up and grow in Africa? And arguably, all of them raised their hands and they were quite happy, or even that statement that they really would want to grow to Africa. I asked another question, how many of you know the number of African countries? Interestingly, no one gave me a definite answer. I think after a few minutes of reflecting and Googling, someone gave me an answer of the number of African countries that we do have. And I want to use this analogy. If you really want to make an impact in a community, one of the biggest steps is to really understand the community that you operate in. I think as a leader, and being there and being called to really influence and lead people towards the right direction, you really need to understand the community whereby you operate in. What are the challenges that these communities face? I think one of the biggest issues, even as leaders, probably we come up with initiatives and projects, but we don't really address challenges that they do face. So understand your community. Take time to research about your community. Take time to interact with the people around you. Take time to read articles around these particular people. And as a leader, now it becomes easier for you to really connect your purpose and take all the leadership skills and traits that you do have to address the real issues in the community. But even beyond that, there's an aspect of partnership that is quite powerful. I'm sure you've heard of a statement that a rope that is tied with another rope or stranded with another rope is really hard to break, or you've heard of the word Ubuntu, that together we can go so far. And there's a statement that says that you can walk alone and you will walk faster, but you can walk with people and you will walk to greater lengths, because you're journeying that particular scenario, or you're taking every step with a community that really works with you. So as African leaders and people called into different spheres of leadership, you need to understand the aspect of really community and partnerships, to the extent that we are not really competing with other people trying to bring change in the community, but you're working with people towards realizing issues in the community and addressing them. I'm quite happy usually when I see different change makers in the African continent, bringing their efforts together to address a particular challenge in the community. And this is, I believe, one of the greatest aspects of a leader, someone who's able to know that the journey of leadership is never walked alone, and embrace having people on board really to address the challenges that we are facing in different parts of Africa. But also lastly, probably one of the important things for you will be to end poverty in your community or in that country that you're in Africa. Personally, I've had an experience. I did start an initiative a while back while I was in school, and part of this initiative was to address health challenges. We talked a lot about nutrition. We talked about prevention, and that's sort of a background that I have in terms of what I studied. And once I wanted to scale up, of course, I brought in a team, fellow students and friends, just to build this vision that I had and propel it forward. One of the things that I will say, probably I failed miserably, but also it was a good learning step. It's learning how to build a team that really buys your vision. As a leader, if you really want to make impact in the community, you need to have a team that really buys your vision correctly. And how would you be able to do this? Probably identify people who are passionate about the course that you're taking, passionate about your leadership burdens for Africa, for the community you're serving, the place you're in, and sitting with them down and helping them articulate what you really would want to achieve. And once you're able to do this, you're going to have a very solid team. Probably even interact with them as more of partners than rather people who report to you. These things that I've really said, I believe are quite key for us as African leaders to address community challenges. I'm looking forward to, a day whereby as leaders, especially in the African context, are working together and really making tangible impact in the different aspects of our communities and in Africa generally. And it's possible to move from a point of purpose as a leader, identifying that really purpose that you have as a leader, identifying how that purpose can be molded to a tangible action or initiative or project in the community, and now moving towards that to now actually bringing actual community impact. As I close on this episode, that's one of the things we do, or as I do even as part of AfriWeather, a leadership platform that really seeks to equip organizations and change makers in Africa to bring tangible community impact in what they do. And I want also to mention that you're going to be having a summit in the month of March on 21st, just to discuss more and help you, if you're a business, helping you to scale up in Africa, but also at the same time make profits and also make impact as you are doing so. And in summary, that's how you can move from purpose to making tangible community impact. I'm looking forward to seeing you in other episodes, and have yourself a very purpose-driven and fulfilling month of March, as we're going to be discussing and unfolding even more topics under my podcast, Conversations with Derek. See you then, and see you in the next episode.